Hi there. Welcome to the Schwowin's Nest. My name is Sandra, and I'm so glad you're here. Today, I am collaborating with my sweet friend Lisa from Lisa Kennedy Dollar Mom. We're bringing you some fall decor dupes, and I hope you love them. Let's get crafting. My first project is inspired by this wreath on Wayfair for $70. I'm going to make it for about 10. I'm going to start with a grapevine wreath base, and then I'm using this faux eucalyptus, which I'm cutting in half because these stems are really long. Now, I don't have enough eucalyptus to make it as full as the inspiration piece, but I'm going to do my best to make it look at least a little bit similar. For the grapevine wreath, it's really easy just to take your stems and push them into the cracks in between the branches, but your stems need to be quite sturdy for this. If they're not, you can definitely use some hot glue to hold them in place. I didn't have enough of the first eucalyptus stem to make this really nice and full, so I did add some smaller greenery pieces. And now I'm going to be adding these yellow toned berries. These are much larger than the inspiration piece, but I think they're going to fill this wreath out really well. I'm going to do the same thing with the berries, just push them into the wreath. And if I need an additional bit of hot glue to hold them in place, I can do that. The other thing I'm going to do is just trim some of the berries that are kind of floppy. Once I started looking at it hanging up, there were some that just kind of hung in a really funky way. So I trimmed those and then hot glued them into place just to make the wreath look a bit fuller again. I think it turned out really pretty. Let me know what you think. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, perhaps you've come over from Lisa's channel. Welcome. I'm so glad you decided to click on my video. If you like what you see, I'd love it if you could hit that red button too. This is my second decor dupe project, and this is a faux pumpkin and gourd from Pottery Barn for $39.50. I'm going to start off with this Michael's pumpkin that I got on clearance for $10 a few years ago, and I'm going to give it another makeover. It's had a few things done to it already. You can see that the stem is missing, and there's a little bit of a pattern on the one side. This paint is sort of a sage colored chalk paint, and I got that at Walmart. I'm not quite sure what brand it is, but it's a really pretty color. The inspiration pumpkin had some different colors in it and almost had a stone texture to it. So I'm going to try and achieve that by doing just one coat on the pumpkin with the green. And you can see that I'm getting some brush strokes in there, and that's going to help me achieve the color I'm going for. So one coat of this will be perfect. For the second coat, I'm going to use the same color and the same brush, but this time I'm going to stipple or pounce the paint on. This will give me some added texture, but I'm going to make sure that I don't cover it completely because I want some of that original color to still peek through. While I wait for the pumpkin to dry, I'm going to take this sheet of foil and roll it up into a cylinder. Then I'm going to squish one end of it and bend it, and then twist it and make it look like a pumpkin stem. I'm just going to make one end really skinny and narrow, like you see, and then the other one I'm going to fold over onto itself and make it nice and thick. I'm using a color called parchment, which is sort of a creamy white color, maybe an antique white, and I'm going to give the foil one really good coat. I love all the texture and the crinkles in this. It's just really fun, and I think it's a great way to make a pumpkin stem. The inspiration pumpkin had sort of a stone texture to it, but I don't have any stone paint. So I'm just going to be using some of the antiquing wax and I'm going to flick it off my finger just to give it some flecks here and there. And then I'm going to do the same with a couple of other different colors. And I really think that that helped it to look more like a stone piece, but also give it a lot more texture and dimension. The pumpkin stem is dry, and now I'm going to be taking some of the antiquing wax, and this is just going to be full strength. And I'm going to dab it in the cracks and then just kind of brush it a little bit. You can see sort of the texture that is coming already. Some of it is going to stay white, some of it's going to be dark brown. It's really going to look like a real pumpkin stem when I'm finished. I'm going to add a big glob of hot glue on the top of the pumpkin and then add my new pumpkin stem. There's still going to be a little bit of white showing, so I'm just going to grab the antiquing wax and then just give it a little bit of a refresh just so everything looks cohesive and joined together. I think out of all of the makeovers that this pumpkin has received, this one is definitely my favorite. Do you like unusual shades of pumpkins like this green, or are you more of a traditional orange person? Let me know in the comments. I am so excited to be collaborating with Lisa. She is such a sweet person, and you're going to love her craft and her channel. I'll have her video and channel links down in my description box. When you're done watching my video, please do me a great big favor and click on her video and channel links and show her some love too. This next inspired piece is really fun. It's a large canvas, and of course, I don't have the large canvas that this requires, but for $70, I still don't think I would purchase that. I'm using this 12 by 12 canvas that I picked up at my local dollar store, and I'm just using a craft knife and scoring along the outside of the staples on the back of the canvas, and this way I'll be able to remove the canvas all in one piece. I'm also going to remove all of the staples and any of the leftover canvas that's still on the frame. I'm using the same color parchment to give this canvas one really good coat. I didn't want the white to be so bright, and I really like having sort of an antique white for all of the fall colors. I think it just blends in much better. I created this printable, and I will have this available on my website as a free download. So then I decided to do the pencil transfer method where you scrape the back of the paper with pencil, and then you take a pen or another sharp pencil and trace it right on top of the canvas. This turned out really good this time. I know I've had some experiences where this doesn't transfer very well, but on the canvas, it was perfect. I like to use a different colored pen. This one actually is a red pen because then I can see where I went over the letter and if I missed any of the spots. When you're creating a printable like this for this purpose, it's a good idea to bold the text and make sure that it's as thick as you can get it. It makes it so much easier for tracing. I'm using a black Sharpie marker, but this one is specifically for construction workers, so it has the ability to write on just about everything. Most of the time, with regular Sharpie markers, you end up not being able to use all of the ink because when you're putting it on a painted surface, it usually clogs up the tip. Not so with these. I found them at my local Home Depot, and I believe they are the Milwaukee brand. I got 5 in a pack. I'm just going to continue to trace my letters first and then just fill them in with the marker. When you're doing this project, feel free to trace out the pumpkin shape too. I decided to try to do it freehand. A pumpkin is probably one of the easiest shapes to create. It's basically a circle or oval in the center and some banana shapes on either side. I'm going to start painting the pumpkin with a small brush and my favorite fall color, which is called Honey Brown, and it's by Americana. Once I've completed that part, I'm going to use some different colors to create some shaded lines. and make the pumpkin look more 3D. I'll use some parchment and then I'll also use some of my antiquing wax and a little bit of black just to bring out the dimension of the pumpkin. Basically, what I do is just work with the orange color and the white color and just keep blending until I get the look that I'm going for. If you're not comfortable drawing your own pumpkin, you can definitely just print off the printable that I've created with some tissue paper or a napkin and use decoupage to put it on your canvas. For the final touch, I used the black marker again to create the stem, and now I'm just taking the marker and making some lines just to accentuate the curves of the pumpkin. I place the frame on top of the canvas and then I'm using some hot glue to attach the frame to the canvas this way. Then I'll use my utility knife to cut off all of the excess canvas around the edge of the frame. I think this picture would look amazing in a larger size, but I just don't have the space in my home for it. Let me know what you think of this project. My next dupe are these three wood carved pumpkins. They're $79, and I don't think I would ever pay that much money for pumpkins. They're beautiful, but I think I'll be able to make them for much less. I'm starting off by painting this taller pumpkin with the parchment paint that I've been using all along in this video, and I am going to give it a couple of good coats. Now that they're fully dry, I'm going to take another dry brush, dip it into a little bit of the antiquing wax, and then very gently just dry brush every second bump on the pumpkin. Make sure when you're doing this project that you have an even amount of these bumps or what sections, I guess, of the pumpkin, because you don't want to have two sections exactly the same right next to each other. You can see that I have a third pumpkin there, but that one only had 7 sections, so I wasn't able to do this effect on it, even though I did paint it already white. For the sections that are still parchment or the off-white color, I'm taking a fine detailed brush, dipping it into the antiquing wax, and still using a dry brush effect. I've just created a little vine from the top to the bottom. Now I'm just going to add some little leaves simply by doing just 2 crescent shapes, one curving to the left and one curving to the right. And then I'll just go on opposite sides of the vine all the way down to the bottom. I'm dipping my brush very little into the antiquing wax because I want this to look more dry brushed as well, which means it is just going to have some of the white peeking through and there won't be any solid lines. I left the stems of these pumpkins the natural color that they were, and I think they turned out absolutely beautiful. I really love them. These stoneware plates are from Pottery Barn, and for the set of 4, they're $70. They are just like salad plates. What I'm going to do is just take some of those clear plates that you can get from the Dollar Tree and use some of these printables on tissue paper and decoupage them onto the plates. I got these images from Creative Fabrica, and I will have a link to them down in my description box. This one came just as is, but the other one you can see to the left of the screen is something that I put together using some of their clip art pieces. I'm using Mod Podge because that's the decoupage medium I have, but you could use anything that you have at home. Make sure you don't have any chunks in yours. I just picked one out of there and give it a really nice thin coat, and you want it to be fairly even coat as well. Then I'll be taking my image and putting it face down onto the plate. I like to use my fingers to gently rub the paper right into the Mod Podge pat it down a little bit, and then I'm going to just lift the tissue paper from the ends and add more Mod Podge until I've covered the complete plate all the way around. Because the plate is round and it also has some angles on the bottom of the plate, it's going to have a little bit of wrinkling, but once you flip the plate over, you won't even notice that. I let the plates dry overnight, and now I'm taking the parchment chalk paint and I'm going to give it one coat on the back, which is right on top of the tissue paper. What I want to do is be able to have all of the colors pop and make this look more like a stoneware dish than glass. These turned out absolutely gorgeous, and I can't wait to use them for entertaining at Thanksgiving. I really hope you enjoyed these fall decor dupes. Don't forget to go down to my description box and click on the link to Lisa's channel. You'll want to see what she's created for our collab. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you like this video, here's a couple more that might interest you. Don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. Bye for now.